Okay, in the other video we set this up. Now I'm just going to simply start modeling. I would probably start with a box for this. A lot of the times when I'm modeling something complex, I would start with a flat plane and use polygonal modeling techniques to make it. But since this is already square, I'm going to go ahead and start with a box because it seems like it would be less work. I'm going to set the length, width, and height number values to the same and start from there. So it's good to start with something as simple as possible and then add complexity. So here I'm going to click on wireframe and I'm going to turn it to flat. Where are you? Flat color. I'm going to do, let's say, left as well. So remember, this is our side view and this is our front view. And now we're going to move it so it lines up with those views. So I don't know, we would do this box. I'll do this box, whatever. Again, depending on your shape, it may not line up perfect. Now I'm using the same picture for both of these. If I was going to use this for my side view or this one, I'd have to play around a bit. But you can kind of see it here. Now I could either model it to the side, visually using this as a reference, or I can make it see-through so I can actually see the whole model as I work in it. So again, I'm going to Object Properties here, and I'm going to drop that visibility, not to 0, but nice and low. Now you can see, here's our box. Now we can use the exact same tools and tricks we were using for the sofa now, basically for this. So it looks like height, I might make it a little taller. Like width, I might bring it in a little bit. It may not line up absolutely perfect when you're working from concept art. You know, sometimes converting something from 2D to 3D just isn't going to be perfect. Okay, but that's pretty close. Now, I could do the same thing over here if I wanted to adjust my length setting. I can, and then I might move it over. Now, these are my flat 2D views. Here's my 3D view over here. Notice I'm doing a lot of my work in the flat views. That's the easy way. So now, if I convert this over to an editable poly, like we did with our bookshelf, like we did with our sofa, we can use the exact same tricks we did with the other two with this. Only now, we're using it with a picture reference. So we could do something like, let's say connect. Again, doing the same thing we did with the sofa. Let's do pinch and blast these out. Maybe I want to put it right about there where the top edge would be. And again, there's an edge here. There's no edge here. It would be up to me to decide as the modeler, do we want an edge? Do we not want an edge? I'm going to go with the edge. Because it's an AI generated concept art, it's going to be rough. So, you know, you take what you want, you modify it, you edit it, etc. It might need a little bit more tinkering. I'm going to do the exact same trick again. Change these settings here, put them right about there. And let's see, hit OK. Now, this is a good trick. If you hold down, I want to say Shift, and click on vertex from edges, it keeps them selected. So now I can do something like use my scale tool along one axis to just move them in. Now, it's not hitting it perfect because I still have snapping turned on from earlier, so I might need to turn percentage snapping off to be a little bit better. Now you can notice the curve isn't exactly right here. This would be up to you as the artist. Are you okay with that? Or is that curve really important? If that curve is really important, if this is a really good, like an important reliquary for your, reliquary for like some relic in your game and it really needs to look perfect, then you might need to move this up to about here to get that edging right. Often in video games, we need to balance performance with look and visual presence. So I don't want to make it too high polygon, you know, only as much as needed. Again, if it's okay with this as a more of an edge, you know, more of a straight edge, I go for it. If I really need that curve, then I'm going to need to, you know, use the scale tool here and move it up a little, use the other one, move it out. Now I'm only moving this along one dimension at a time. That's an old pro move. I would need to come over here and do the same thing because notice it didn't do it over here. You don't probably want to modify this in 3 dimensions because it's really tricky to get it right. But I can move this over here and line it up so it matches the picture and I'm good to go. Now, If I really wanted to match up with that edge, I'm going to cut another line and go in here. So again, this is a concept art. It may not be exactly the same. If you want to see all your edges at one time, you can come over here and do edged faces and turn on your edging so you can see it as we work. Now, this is also why we made this plane in the background one by one. Okay, try not to make this video too long. I apologize, I'm long-winded. So I'm gonna go back to edges, grab this. I'm gonna do the same trick again. Again, this trick works just so well for this kind of stuff. And we'll say there, hit OK. And then if I want to, I could try doing a three-dimensional scale effect. You'll see it here. I'm gonna do it in the top view though. So you can see I'm pulling it in from all dimensions. It can be tricky to get the hang of working within 3 dimensions. You know, sometimes I have students say, well, we live in 3 dimensions. Yeah, and this is 3-dimensional. We live in 3-dimensional, which means your brain is used to working in 3 dimensions, but you're viewing it through a flat 2-dimensional interface. So if that sounds confusing, that's why this is tricky sometimes. You know, viewing a 2D representation of a 3D world while existing in a 3D world is weird, right? But you can see, notice that pulled it in. That looks pretty good, actually. If I wanted to, I could keep modeling these different details, or we could just probably use this as a flat texture on the surface of this object even. Again, it wouldn't necessarily be perfect because the edging, but I could fix that in something like Photoshop pretty well. So this is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the overall shape. Let's come check it over here. We want to go to Object Properties. Oops, wrong one. Cancel. Object Properties. If I can click the right thing. And let's bump up our visibility and take a look at our shape. So I'm pretty happy with that. Again, if we wanted to cut some more edging in, we could. If we wanted to make the middle part or the jewel or something, maybe we'll cut a little bit into it just to make it punch a little more. So we'll do Object Properties, drop this back down to say 2 or so. And if it's a different color than blue, you might want more or less, you know, transparency there. But let's do this. I feel like I want a little bit more to this. Yeah. So let's do another connect. I might do 1. So I'm just going to do 1, and then I might slide this down just a little bit so it's right in the middle. Okay. Now, I want this bumpy ball thing, but I don't know if I want all of it. So I'm just going to try that. Let's see how it goes. And then we'll cut one from the top. Now I could just cut from here to here, but that's going to make some funky geometry. You really want to try to have all quad geometry. So let's again do connect, do 1, so 0. Probably put that at 0 too, even though it's not doing anything. And then I'll decide where I want it. Now again, I kind of like where that's at, even if it's not straight on there. And hit OK. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, I think, because I have, you know, that dot kind of encompasses the whole thing. You know, I might move it over just a little. Hit OK. All right, so now I've created kind of this new edge that goes all the way around in these points. Now, I think this will work. I've never modeled this before, so you're literally watching me model in live time. So I'm going to grab this point here, and I'm going to hold on Control and drag selection over it. So basically, I have these points on all sides, and you can see here my 3D view selected. I'm going to try chamfer. See if it'll work. Experiment, if you will. So I'm going to do it in this viewport, and we're going to chamfer it. Oh, that's not bad. Let's see if I pull that out. Chamfer it back in a bit. Now again, this would be one of those instances where how close to the source do I need to be? What am I trying to accomplish? All that kind of fun stuff. That looks pretty good. And even if that's all I had on the model, I think it would look pretty good all said and done. Let me go ahead and hit OK. Now, it's not perfect though. I feel like here, and I'm dragging selections. I'm not just clicking on it because I want to get the one on the back side too. So I'm gonna grab it. I might pull that up because it just fits a little better. I'm gonna grab these. I'm gonna pull them down a little. I'm okay with the sides here. It looks pretty good. But I might use scale to kind of pull these out a little. Now here you can see this thing doesn't look super round. So I might need to grab this one and move it up. You know, that's looking pretty good. You can see again, the picture doesn't quite end up perfect. I would need to kind of do some thinking about how I want to fix this. You know, the truth is, how I would want to do the texture might influence a bit on how I would fix this. Am I going to use a projection map? Am I going to just make the texture in Photoshop and bring it over? That sort of thing. And here I'm just kind of making those same edits here a little bit in this view. I'm going to bring it up a little bit just to make it a little more round. Again, we could move these around a little more, try to match the picture, but this picture's not perfectly symmetrical. Again, AI did it, so it's kind of funky. I would want to really edit this. And so taking it into Photoshop and making one side and then copying it to all four sides so that way they're perfectly symmetrical. And then making sure that the shadowing works. It looks like the AI did a pretty decent job with shadowing. It just didn't do a very good job of making the sides all match. If you didn't care about the sides matching, you can just leave it like it is too. It's your piece. One thing I might do is play with this dot here. So I'm going to grab this and hold on Control and grab this other one. And now I've grabbed all four dots on all four sides. And if I hold down Shift and grab this, you can see, oh, come on, I thought it was Shift. Sorry, maybe it was Control. Hold Control and click on this. It's going to grab all the surfaces. Oh, it looks like I kind of need to pull these dots out. So let's go back and I'm kind of maybe a little nitpicky. I apologize. I know you're watching this video saying, hey man, I've been watching for 12 minutes. Get it done already. Sorry. So here I could do maybe like extrude or bevel this out to make it even more dynamic. That's a little much, right? So we might bevel it out. Bump it out just a little bit more and hit OK. And then I'm going to go back to that dot. Oop. Careful selecting it with the move tool. You know, so when we get all those, I'm going to go to scale and I'm just going to scale it out just a little bit. So okay, so again, we'll grab this guy, go to object properties. Let's drop the visibility or increase it to 1 and take a look at our object and see what we think in 3D. So here we go. Oops, sorry about that. That's pretty good. At this point, I'm ready to throw this texture on the object and I'm pretty much set. Again, this texture is still going to need a little bit of Photoshop work and tweaking to make it look just right and fit just right. But that's pretty darn close. You know, and we could, if we wanted to, I could grab all these things and extrude and bevel them again if we wanted that thing to have even more punch. So if we really wanted it to stand out just a little bit more than it does, because I already have the pieces there. Again, I'm holding Control and click this. I could also go into grow, and then maybe bevel this out a little bit as well. So you can see here from kind of the side view, you know, going to how much I want to pull out, and then how much, if any, do I want to bevel, right? I do want to bevel a little bit, but not a ton. Okay. Oops, I accidentally let go. Try again. Bevel. And again, it'll save our settings from the last time, so I can decide if that's too much. I could even inset it if I want it. If I thought it looked cooler, inset. So maybe about there. Hit OK. All right, so now here's our model again in 3D, looking pretty cool. Again, now having a lot more visual interest. You know, if we wanted to, you know, we could grab these edges here and kind of, you know, cut the edges in and try to make them straps and stuff. You know, I probably wouldn't do it. Again, I think you throw the texture on this thing, it's going to look fine. Okay. I apologize, we're at 15 minutes. This is my short video. I got to practice. I'm not a YouTuber. But here we go. Kind of, you got the idea. Hopefully it gives you some ideas, some concepts, and shows you some cool techniques for trying to create your own thing.